Well, let's talk now to Mark Regev, Senior Advisor to Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and a former Israeli ambassador to the United Kingdom. Mark Regev, it's good to have you back on the program. I just want to put to you something that Dr. Abu Sita, a British Palestinian doctor, told us from Gaza a few minutes ago. He said that he was treating patients that he said had clear evidence of wounds caused by white phosphorus. Is the IDF using white phosphorus in Gaza?
No, the allegation was raised at the beginning of this conflict, and the IDF said unequivocally that that's just not true.
Well, he said unequivocally that the wounds that he's been treating could only have been caused by white phosphorus.
I can't speak directly to this person. I don't know who they are. I can only say this, that the doctors in Gaza are very limited on what they can say. We had earlier today on a rival network, we had the head of the Shifa hospital in Gaza, and he was asked point blank, how do you feel about having a Gaza military installation under your hospital? And he said, no, there is no such Hamas military installation under my hospital. Well, everyone knows there is. The people of Gaza know there is. But these people, when they're interviewed by the international media, have to follow the party line, that's the Hamas line, and they will repeat what Hamas tells them to say. If they don't, they face violent retribution, Matt. That's the truth.
There's just no evidence of that happening, certainly not in the case of this doctor.
Can I tell you, Channel 4 itself, sorry, Matt, that's not true. Channel 4 itself.
He brought it up.
Channel 4 itself ran a piece, I remember, in a previous round of fighting where you interviewed someone's shoe. I don't know if it was your piece or someone else's, because he wouldn't speak out against Hamas and show his face. And he feared Hamas's retribution. Don't tell me, when you have reported it yourself, that Hamas is brutal with its own people if they speak out of turn. That is a known fact. Don't deny it, Matt.
Well, again, I don't know about that particular case that you're talking about, but I've just told you what this doctor told us. Anyway, let's move on from that.
All I'm saying is no one in Gaza can speak openly against the Hamas regime. Don't deny that. No one in Gaza can stand up and complain about Hamas.
Again, there is no evidence of that in particular cases, certainly not in the case that
I disagree. I think that's
not true. Let me move on.
Interviewing civilians from Gaza is like interviewing people in any authoritarian regime. To not say that there are limitations on what they can say when they speak to the international media is to ignore reality.
Okay, all right. Let's move on to the numbers. 10,000 deaths reported by the Hamas-controlled Gaza Health Ministry. Are you saying that that number is also just a lie?
First of all, the number is, as you said correctly, provided by the Hamas-controlled Ministry of Health, so we don't know if those numbers are correct. Secondly, you have no idea of the distribution within that numbers, how many of them are Hamas fighters, Hamas terrorists, and how many of them are really innocent civilians. And of the innocent civilians...
Well, they are saying that 4,000 of them are children.
No,
they are saying that 4,000, I think 27 of them are children. Okay.
That's their numbers, correct. That's what Hamas is saying. And then you also have to ask the question of the innocent civilians, how many were killed by Hamas munitions? We know for a documented case of the hospital in the north in that first week of conflict, which should have been, I think, a pivotal moment for people covering the crisis. It was a rocket fired by the terrorists that fell short and killed people. Are they also victims of Israeli aggression? Of course not.
Okay. You keep bringing that up every time we speak to each other, which is a lot.
But it's important. How can one not ignore that?
We did some very careful reporting on that, reflecting both sides of the argument. Let's move on. Two-state solution. This is something that the Americans are still wedded to. Is your Prime Minister at all wedded to a two-state solution still? Because I haven't heard him talk about it.
I think he said very clearly in a press conference he gave for the international press, I think it was last week, he said there is a time for peace and a time for war. And at the moment, we're in a time for war. Hamas declared war on us. They brutally invaded our country and horrifically murdered our people en masse. We have to defeat them. We have to destroy Hamas's military machine. We have to end their ability to inflict this sort of pain. And as you know, just a few days ago, the deputy head of Hamas said, we want to do it again and again and again. And so we have to deny them the ability to do so.
But I'm talking about the West Bank as well, because the accusation that I hear repeatedly from many Israelis, including the former head of Shin Bet, who we interviewed on the program yesterday, Ami Ayalon, is that Bibi Netanyahu, your boss, has done an awful lot to undermine the Palestinian Authority in the West Bank, and therefore to undermine a two-state solution. Has he now realized that with the Americans saying once again they really want that two-state solution, that when it comes to the West Bank, this is the only viable solution?
Well, first of all, let's speak the truth. Hamas has no interest in a two-state solution. Hamas says my country has no right to exist in any borders.
I'm talking about the West Bank.
Yes, yes, okay. Let's talk about the West Bank. Isn't it wonderful that Channel 4 News can interview Israelis and get a whole spectrum of different opinions, from left to right and everything in between? And when you interview people in Gaza, they all follow the party line. Isn't that interesting?
No, actually, we interview people plenty of people in Ramallah. In fact, we presented the program from there just last week. So we're trying to get as many opinions as possible. Just a brief one, if I may. We've just heard, I don't know if you heard the news, that the Iranian president is going to meet the Saudi leadership at a summit in Saudi Arabia at the weekend. You're supposed to be making friends with Saudi Arabia. Are you now in danger of being more isolated in the region?
We don't believe so. We're in contact with Arab governments across the region, and Hamas has very, very few friends in the Arab countries. And actually, the messages we're hearing from across the region is finish the job, finish it quickly, but finish the job, because a victory for Hamas is a victory for extremism, is a victory for all those opposed to peace and reconciliation. If we destroy Hamas, and we will, I hope that creates space for more moderate and pragmatic voices to emerge.